The controversy over protests during the national anthem at NFL games is dividing us more now than ever before, especially after President Donald Trump this week disinvited the Super Bowl winning Philadelphia Eagles to the White House, instead deciding to have a celebration of patriotism. But of course, each of us defines patriotism in a different way. Some believe the protests are uniquely American, while others say they are a slap in the face to America's most treasured symbol, the flag. On one side, Trevor Smith.
I'm a locomotive engineer for the railroad.
The 31-year-old from Warding, Washington, also served in the military. Can you tell me a little bit about your military service?
So military, I was a reservist in the Navy. I was a Seabee. We were stationed down in Gulfport, Mississippi. Spent 6 years in the reserves, one tour of duty of 12 months in Afghanistan.
On the other side, 36-year-old Jesse Simmons.
Currently, I live in Lacey, Washington, and I am a campaign manager and run political campaigns.
Like Trevor, he served in the armed forces.
I did almost 8 years in the Army. Fort Lewis was my first duty station.
Besides their service, both men have another thing in common. I'm assuming you're both Seahawks fans.
Through and through.
You used to be a Cowboys fan. Is that
So
the situation?
I grew up in Texas. The Cowboys is where my original loyalties lie, but Seahawks are growing on me. So.
And is one of you a season ticket holder?
We are. My family is, my in-laws.
Yeah. Congratulations.
Right.
But despite being fellow veterans and Seahawks fans, the two feel much differently about the protests at the center of national debate. Protests started by former 49ers quarterback Colin Kaepernick, who wanted to make a statement about inequality against people of color.
Coming from a military family, a military service member, I was outraged. You know, I didn't think it was fair for him to do it, to use his position in the NFL community to do that. I fought for it, that flag, as well as my brothers and sisters have fought for that flag. The first time when I saw it, I was completely outraged, and I didn't really understand why he was doing it.
Jesse actually started out feeling the same way until he learned more about what the protests were over.
A certain segment of society feels like the justice system doesn't treat them with enough respect or treat them the same as others. I don't see it as disrespect. It's more of like they're tired of the way they're being treated. You know, and what do you do when you're tired? You take a knee. I think we also have to try not to shift the focus to the flag and try to keep it on, you know, what are the concerns of that segment of society. I think they feel like they've been left behind. You know, there's so many obstacles that they have to face, and I think we may not. You know, as a white person in America, I've never experienced half the things that black folks have in America, and I could never truly understand it, but I can try to be empathetic to it.
Well, both men seem to agree that the players have a right to protest. They disagree on whether the consequences for those actions are fair.
I don't think you should be fined for expressing your freedoms, your rights in this country.
There's consequences for everything. They're not forced to stay there. They're not forced to play a game.
Despite both having served in the military, it was clear Jesse and Trevor had very different perspectives on the issue, and neither was likely to change. But they did find common ground on one thing, this statement made by the president.
You have to stand proudly for the national anthem. Well, you shouldn't be playing, you shouldn't be there. Maybe you shouldn't be in the country.
Absolutely not the right thing to say. I think that goes back to the basic concepts in our Constitution, the idea of America, that we're a melting pot. We all have different opinions, different backgrounds.
100% in agreement with that. Everybody does have the right to be here. For him to say that, it really shows his some sort of ignorance that he has. I mean, it's our First Amendment. We do have the right to speech. Whatever that speech may be, kneeling, standing, jumping jacks, it doesn't matter. We do have that right. For the president to come out and say, you know, if you are going to kneel or disrespect a flag that he never fought for, to say, then get out. I'm sure Jesse and I would, you know, say to the president that we didn't fight for the flag for that reason.
Did we find something we agree on, gentlemen?
I think
So a little bit. He's still a Cowboys fan, though.
The two could also agree on something else, although it's not about the NFL protests per se. We found them for this segment because both were part of debates online on our Q13 Facebook page. Debates, they agree, can get nasty.
It ain't pretty.
No.
No.
It's not.
Keyboard warriors.
Keyboard warriors. What would you say to your fellow Americans about being able to sit and talk about something like this like adults?
So that's how you grow as a person. Anybody can sit behind a computer. You have no idea who you're talking to on the other side of that computer. You have no idea where he came from.
I would agree. I think that social media has taken the personal aspect out of it, and they don't see that person typing on the other side as a person, maybe, and maybe we've forgotten that. We should be more empathetic. Stop waiting to type or waiting to talk, and maybe, you know, listen and see what the other side has to say.
Your guys' conversation and your conversation in the green room, does it open your eyes to, you know, putting a face to the
Absolutely.
other side of
Absolutely.
things?
I think we walked into the lobby, and I told the receptionist I was here for Bridging the Divide, and he turned around, and I was like, oh man, we started talking. I was like, man, I like you already. You know, how can we be so polar opposites? But yeah, I like him right there, because you never know, is his comment could be completely opposite of mine, but here two people are in a lobby, strangers, and that come out, you know, friends that, you know, have respect for one another.
Even those who have served our country disagree over whether protests during the national anthem are appropriate. That should show you just how controversial the topic is. But having that debate online will never beat having a conversation about it in real life. Because even though you can't fully understand someone's perspective unless you've walked in their shoes, you will never understand it while sitting behind a keyboard.